Cape York is a special part of tropical North Queensland, offering a world of spectacular scenery and adventure. It's a place where thousands of visitors from around the world come to make the annual pilgrimage north to visit the very tip of Northern Australia, and where getting there is half the fun. Our two lovable lifeguards, Andrew Reid and Corey Oliver, stars of the hit series Bondi Rescue, will now take on the challenge of a lifetime, travelling from Cairns all the way to Cape York. And just to add to the adventure, they'll be joined by Miss World Australia, Courtney Thorpe. Will the trio make it to the tip? Will the beauty queen survive the outdoors? Will she survive Reedy's advances? Will Corey have to rescue them from each other? Whether it's chasing giant crocs, big fish, sheer terror, raging water, off-road, on-road, it promises to be the ultimate road trip from Cairns to the very tip of Queensland's Cape York. The boys from Bondi Rescue, Corey and Reedy, meet Courtney for the first time at Cairns Airport, and everyone's excited about the journey ahead.
I think the boys and I just clicked straight away. As soon as I met them when we got off that plane, it was just an instant connection there. So I'm really excited to spend the week with them.
It didn't take long for Reedy to take an interest in Miss World Australia.
Courtney is very easy on the eye. You don't win Miss World Australia for nothing.
Reedy has not been shy, no. He's been very forthcoming, might be the right word.
I'm looking forward to forming a bit of a friendship with her, a bit of a relationship.
Travelling with Reedy is always a funny time. He's a bit of a nut, he's funny, he's entertaining. Yeah, he's a good bloke to travel with.
Corey's lovely. I think we're going to be besties by the end of the trip. Reedy's definitely not the shy, retiring type. Definitely not two adjectives I'd use to describe him. No.
The trip to the northern tip of Australia will take the trio to some of the most wild and remote parts of Australia.
Just excited to be here in this beautiful warm weather and just tackling everything it has to offer.
While he was certainly impressed with Courtney, Reedy isn't so sure how the beauty queen will cope with the extremes of tropical North Queensland.
It can be a pretty scary place. Hopefully she can rise above the tiaras and the catwalks and step up to the plate and show the world what a real Australian woman does.
I know that I am probably better known for obviously being a beauty queen, but am I going to struggle? Who's going to struggle more, I think, is probably the question, me or the boys?
Although the trio are excited about the journey ahead, their real aim is to make it to the tip of Northern Australia.
Everybody that leaves from wherever their starting point is, the mission is to get to the tip of Australia.
When you come here, that's your goal. You want to get to the northernmost point of Australia, because how many people get to say that they've done that?
To get to share that week with Courtney and Corey and then to get to the point together. This is exactly why people trek all the way from Cairns up to Cape York.
Just minutes after arriving in Cairns, the team is informed that they'll warm up for their Cape York adventure with a 50-metre freefall over the rainforest at AJ Hackett. And not everyone's happy.
We didn't even know. They just took us straight from the airport, straight to AJ Hackett and just said, right, we're going to throw you off a 50-metre cliff.
Doesn't look so fun.
Oh my God.
Heights have to be one of my biggest fears.
I was expecting to go and have a nice sit-down lunch, maybe go on a bit of a cruise. Wasn't quite prepared for the bungee jump.
When we got to the top, I was freaking out. Yeah, it's something I didn't ever want to do in my life.
I am absolutely f***ing my pants. That was one of the scariest experiences of my life. They had to pry my fingers from the rails to get me to stand out on the edge, and I looked at backing out. I was just like, oh, I just don't want to be here.
Reedy, so used to playing the practical joker, is literally paralysed with fear and struggles to come to terms with the jump. Finally, after an agonising wait, it's the moment of truth, and Reedy takes the plunge.
Oh, that was You're looking over Cairns and all you can see is the whole of this beautiful, beautiful city that we're in, and you just launch out into the jungle and just dropped, and it was just amazing. People talk about it and you've got to experience it for yourself.
Mate, it was so intense. Just standing up there, like looking over, and he said, just look straight out, and it's just, you can just feel how high it is.
After Reedy's awkward attempt, it's the beauty queen next up to the plate.
I'm absolutely terrified. Look, I'd probably take a catwalk right now, definitely. Question and answer time at Miss World would be good.
Courtney's reaction says it all.
When I was looking over that edge and I saw what I was jumping down to, I was ready to go. The free fall was incredible. It was more so once I got there and bounced back half that was the scary part.
Hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Yep. Don't know about that. My legs, I can't move. That was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. I honestly thought that I wasn't going to make the water. I could feel myself going the wrong way and I didn't know if I was going to come back.
Corey has the misfortune of watching Courtney and Reedy struggle, and it's now his turn to face the music.
I actually didn't feel too bad. Like I was like, okay, they've jumped, doesn't look that hard. But then once you're actually out on the edge, I think the trick is don't look down. The tower's rocking, it's windy. I don't want to jump out.
I'd already jumped, so I was down the bottom and I look up and he's standing there and I could just see the terror in his eyes from 50 metres down. And then he backed away and disappeared. I said, he's pulled out, he's pulled out.
I had actually sat down and asked the guy to unstrap me. There was no way I was doing it.
I ain't doing it, mate.
Why not?
What happened?
Not interested.
Corey refuses to jump, but Reedy and Courtney aren't willing to let him off the hook. Finally, he's forced to confront his worst fear.
That was a weird feeling. Like I've just met these people and I'm trusting them with them letting me jump off one of my biggest fears I've ever thought about. Yeah, euphoric feeling. Once you're down the bottom, that was just amazing.
As much as I can put on the big brave face, it's a pretty terrifying thing to be standing up that high knowing that you're jumping off with just a rope holding onto you. So at the end of the day, I think we all just did a fantastic job of doing it.
Courtney won hands down. She took the cake for the day. Like nailed it, absolutely nailed it. Couldn't have done it any easier, I think.
It's going to be very, very hard for anything else to live up to that, to be honest. Not just even on this trip, but in life. That was incredible.
While Reedy is trying to impress Courtney, it's Courtney doing all the impressing.
I tell you what, Jake, she was up there, me and Corey down here, and I tell you what, she did all the impressing that day.
Despite a less than heroic effort on the bungee, Reedy still has high hopes with Courtney.
Do I have a shot with Courtney? I don't really know, to be honest. If something happens, and if it doesn't, well, so be it.
In Reedy's dreams, he's got a chance with me.
He seems like he's ready to roll, mate. He seems pretty keen.
I'm a professional at having a very good time, and if Courtney's involved in that good time, well, hey, let's do it.
With no time to spare and after a thrilling bungee, later that afternoon, they're invited to go whitewater rafting with raging thunder on the Barron River.
My first time ever whitewater rafting, and what an amazing experience. Great guides, and they were very helpful and always made us feel really comfortable and relaxed. And, you know, I couldn't fault it.
The whitewater rafting was incredible. I think we were all sort of thinking it might be a bit of an anticlimax after the bungee jumping, but it certainly didn't disappoint us.
Reedy was actually quite funny in the boat. He's good at hamming things up. But mate, yeah, no, we had a ball.
Oh, very gone, very gone. I remember hearing someone say we're going to die at one point. I can't remember who it was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't me, but...
Again, I think Reedy definitely practiced his screaming skills a couple of times, I think, I heard there. No, they were great. They were up at the front of the boat, leading the way, making me feel a lot better, because to be honest, I actually got a little bit nervous on that one.
We were just cruising down this river and it was just, you know, a few tight little crazy fumbles and there was some screaming and some crying, and again, Courtney absolutely nailed it. Me and Corey looked like a couple of girls going down a raft. But I'll tell you what, a lot of fun.
I had a great guide. He was very good at talking it up. So every time we came around to another drop or something, he's there going, oh, look, this is the plunge of death. And everyone, you know, if there's gonna go anything wrong, it's going to be this one. But I loved whitewater rafting. It was so much fun. It was something completely different again, something I hadn't done before, and it felt very down to the roots, adventurous. It was great. That scenery when we were floating down the river was just breathtaking. It was beautiful.
I think we actually timed it perfectly. Like the sun was going down and just the light through the valleys. Mate, it was really, really nice. Just the whole surround was, it needs to be seen. I'm
absolutely not surprised at all that they call Cairns the adventure capital of Australia. Not only is it, you've got all of that adventure side to it that keeps the adrenaline pumping, but every time you turn a corner, there's something else amazing to see. It's incredible.
Despite constant rejection, Reedy hasn't given up hope, just yet.
I think persistent is a great way to describe Reedy. I think there's going to be a lot of persistence during the week.
She's a beautiful girl and I'm just looking forward to spending 7 days heading north in remote bushland with her, and, you know, let's hope we can, maybe if she needs help and there are bear crawls or a crocodile crawls into a tent, I can be there.
The next day, the trio are invited on board Passions of Paradise for a day of sailing and diving on the Great Barrier Reef. After an exhilarating first day in Cairns, the team celebrated well into the night, with Courtney proving a little worse for wear.
We headed out to the Great Barrier Reef on a nice catamaran called Passions of Paradise, and couldn't have asked for a better day. There was, you know, a bunch of crew, other travellers, and everyone was keen to rip right in and do some snorkeling and scuba diving.
I was actually really excited to get out onto Passions, head out to the Great Barrier Reef. I'd been told we were going scuba diving, never been before. I had very high hopes.
True to form, Reedy takes inspiration from the name of the boat.
Passions of Paradise. What better name could you get for a romantic couple out on the Great Barrier Reef, out on the high seas? I don't know if Courtney thought it was very romantic for the day, but Reedy was definitely enjoying himself.
Hey, if I'm stuck on a boat with a girl that's as beautiful as she is and the boat's called Passions, well, you know, I'm kind of expecting something, you know, I'm kind of hoping that something might happen.
Whether she's allergic to Reedy or it's just the sea, it isn't long before Courtney starts to turn green.
We actually were asked if we got seasick, and if we did, there were tablets, and everyone, of course, was looking after me, being the girl, and saying, do you get seasick, do you need anything? And I'm here trying to be all tough, going, oh, please, I grew up on boats.
There was no cure other than just to ride it out, and there was nothing this lifeguard could do to save her from it. Stay here. Don't look at the horizon, look down.
Poor Courtney. Things went a little bit south.
Courtney showed she was only human after all. You know, you can't be excellent at everything, and unfortunately, the old sea got to her in the end.
After a bumpy ride, fighting off not only seasickness, but also the advances of Reedy, Passions arrives at a beautiful sand spit. And with Courtney now feeling better, it's time for a scuba dive. Like swimming in a giant aquarium, the trio relish their time exploring one of the natural wonders of the world.
My seasickness had settled, so I was able to get in the water with the boys. We did a bit of a snorkel together and we got to feed some of the huge fish with these prawns, and some of them looked like sharks, to be honest. I think Reedy, again, brought out his screams a few times because he thought that they were sharks. But that was incredible. What an experience.
Great Barrier Reef is just amazing. It's a beautiful place, and hopefully as many people can see it as possible.
Saw stingrays, these little reef sharks. We saw Nemo, found Nemo. Just everything that the Great Barrier Reef had out there was amazing.
Finally, we got to get a boat and we went over to a small island in the reef, and it's actually a bird sanctuary, which was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. It was just swarms of birds. You would not believe it, and they're just hovering, and you just don't see things like that. You hear about them, but you never actually see it.
It's actually a sanctuary for the birds and turtles that come up and lay their eggs. Mate, amazing. Just this little sand spit in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, really, really nice, really serene.
You imagine that the reef is all about the coral and the fish and what's under the water. You don't think about what else you're going to see.
Now back on dry land, in a bikini and with a willing audience, Courtney gets back to what she does best, and that's performing for the cameras.
As soon as Courtney landed on the sand, you could see like the colour come back into her face right away, and she had a ball, got the posing and the strutting out. Mate, she was outstanding.
To get to watch Courtney strut around on a deserted island beach, you know, I like that.
After an amazing day out on the reef, they make their way back to Cairns, and it's not long before Courtney's seasickness returns. In her moment of weakness, Reedy sees an opportunity.
As soon as that boat started moving again, my seasickness came back, and to be honest, I could have had anyone next to me at that point in time and I would have cuddled right up on into them.
Reedy was trying to get nice and romantic and helpful, and I just don't think she wanted any part of it, mate.
Being the lifeguard that I am and always looking out for anybody, whether it be a beautiful woman or an elderly old man, I will always put my arm around them if they are ever seasick.
Take advantage of me in my time of need might be a good way to say it.
Oh, I think he was just trying to be like a lion to a wounded lamb, you know. He's just trying to make anything work.
I was just trying to make sure that she was having a good day and, you know, just trying to put my arm around her when I thought she needed it, and sometimes she didn't need it.
Oh, look how nice I am. I'll look after you, I'll cuddle you, I'll nurture you. Passions of Paradise was so good. All their staff were really fun, very informative. The diving was just perfect, good bunch of people. Just smiles all around. It's a great day.
You know what, for me to sit here and say that that day was still incredible with how sick I was feeling says a lot. It says a lot about the time that Passions put into it and the experience they put together. And being out on the Great Barrier Reef is something so special. Cairns is fantastic. I feel like you'd need at least 2 weeks there minimum to get through it all. It was 2 days just is not enough. I wasn't ready to leave yet.
We've bungee jumped, we've whitewater rafted, we've spent a day on the reef, and it hasn't even begun. We're about to pack up 3 four-wheel drives and make our way all the way to the tip of Australia. And I tell you what, I couldn't be more excited.
The trio have been attracting plenty of attention since arriving in Cairns, and early the next morning, they're invited to appear on local radio.
We got the call up, late call up to go into the radio station, which is great because I have the perfect head for radio. They just wanted to hear about our trip and hear what we were up to, and it was fun.
Yeah, it's Mark and Bonita, the CFM morning crew. Well, some special guests in the studio. You might have seen a pic in the Cairns Post this morning. Bondi Rescue and Miss World Australia, Courtney Thorpe in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. There was a bit of media about the fact that we were up there. You know, obviously Courtney got all the attention as opposed to a couple of ugly lifeguards from Bondi, but you know, people wanted to know about our trip, and you know, we're excited.
Stopped in at the radio station. We got to actually see the newspaper that had come out that day without giving a good story about our bungee jump.
Oh, look at that good sword.
So that was a nice way to recap the trip. I think we all love being in the media. We're all definitely not camera shy, to put it lightly. And it's been great to see how much Cairns has welcomed us in here, to be honest. And the media up here has just taken a liking and a fascination, and they've been fantastic to us.
Guys, thanks so much for coming in. Enjoy the trip.
Thanks for having us.
So much.
After 2 exciting days in Cairns, it's now time for the drive north to the Cape, and the crew meet up with a 4-wheel drive team from Adventure Australia Treks and Tours.
We just met Martin and Mark and the rest of the team from Australian Adventure, and everyone was keen to head north.
Couldn't have been in better hands if we tried. I reckon their trucks are just so rigged up, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to have any troubles getting from A to B.
They even made me feel okay, I wouldn't say great, but okay about my slight overpacking situation.
A couple of the boys are ex-army. I'm not going to mess with these guys. If we get asked to do something, we're doing it.
We started off our trip heading north, going through the Daintree, one of the most beautiful areas I've ever been through, and just doing it as a convoy in a car, 3 four-wheel drives, just driving through that rainforest. Absolutely sensational.
Reedy still makes no headway with Courtney.
Despite all my efforts, I asked her if she wanted to ride in the car with me, and she said no. So there's a famous saying, how do you eat an elephant? One mouthful at a time.
After a spectacular drive through Port Douglas, Mossman Gorge, Cape Tribulation and the Daintree Rainforest, next stop is Cooktown.
We got to Cooktown and my God, did we get a good welcoming. We got there and went straight down to the Bowls Club, met Captain Cook himself, I do believe. Reedy and Corey got to dress up, so that was hilarious. And then the whole town pretty much welcomed us for a game of lawn bowls and dinner.
I declare lawn bowls today open. It really rolled out the red carpet and just welcomed us there, and we walked straight in. We were straight into a beer, straight out on the barefoot bowls, met Captain Cook, and it was on from the start.
The locals were absolutely fantastic. They were so welcoming, they were so easy to talk to, and they're so knowledgeable. Everyone knows their history and they're so proud of their history, and they love sharing that with us.
We got to mingle with a lot of the locals and a few travellers that were passing through as well, and it was a bit of controlled chaos.
Desperate to impress Courtney, Reedy even resorts to juggling.
The bowls went all right. I went all right. It was Team Reed versus Team Cooktown, and I think it was 2-2, and then we had a bowl off for the last one, and I think they just got it.
I think he probably needs a bit of practice with his lawn bowls. He definitely could work on them.
I think Reedy may have broken a few random toes in barefoot lawn bowls.
And it was a pleasure to be there. I was definitely putting it back on my list of places to come back to.
While Reedy bombs out in the lawn bowls, Corey thinks he won't give up without a fight for Courtney.
He's confident, he's got the gift of the gab, and he's a very funny man, so anything's possible, mate.
Let's just say if Courtney does want me, then I wouldn't be surprised.
I do see that Reedy thinks he's a bit of a ladies' man. Yes, I do see that.
Look at this. Why wouldn't she want me? Miss World, come on.
Early next morning, the team head up to the grassy hill to take in the spectacular Cooktown views.
Up at Cook Lookout, and it just took my breath away. And the best part was after that we actually had some of the locals and some of the Indigenous people come up to actually talk to us. And I love hearing all about Australian history, and they came up and spoke to us about obviously Captain Cook coming into Cooktown and landing, and then they also had 3 of the boys and they taught us a little bit of tribal dancing, so that was great fun.
I'm no John Travolta, but I reckon I've got the odd dance move. When it comes to Aboriginal dancing, but maybe not so much.
I don't know if I did real well on the dance floor. I think we might have just struck through.
Everyone had a good laugh while we were doing the dancing. I think the boys beat me on the dance floor. They definitely had the moves down. The views up at Cook Lookout were absolutely beautiful. Every time you turn around, there was something else to look at. It was just honestly complete panoramic views, and that sunrise turned it on for us today too. Even though I'm a Queensland girl, I grew up in Brisbane, so I'm still a city girl. So coming up here and getting back to the bare basics and back to the roots is just such an incredible experience. And you know, it is so remote and so isolated up here. It's kind of got this sort of eerie sense of, I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit of spirituality out here, and I think you sense that being around the Indigenous communities, especially with their cultural history. But it's just fantastic. I'm really looking forward to getting up further north and seeing what it's got in store for us too.
For me, the highlight of the trip, and they're all highlights, but the one thing that really stood out for me was Cooktown and getting to know the Aboriginal people and getting to know how we first landed and the whole Captain Cook story. It's amazing, and I think everyone should get up there and learn that story, because it's if you live in Australia, it's all about your background.
After an inspiring visit to Cooktown, it's now further north to Isabella Falls on the Endeavour River.
Once we'd gone through the Daintree and then we stopped in Cooktown, then the scenery just changed completely. We were in the bush and it was just beautiful waterfalls and these beautiful big trees, and it was really pretty.
Isabella Falls was stunning. But you know, you can find your way in under the rocks and have a bit of fun in there. The water was fresh, perfect temperature, and really, really nice, very scenic.
The waterfall was beautiful, and Courtney jumped in and she was wearing a swimsuit, and yeah, it was nice.
The 2 lifeguards are in their element back in the water.
Me and Reedy was like, you know, dried out fish, needed a bit of water in the gills, and it was good to have a bit of a play.
The trip's been incredible so far. I can't even get over it. We've seen so much already and we still have so much more of a week left to go. So I'm looking forward to it.
Not only is there lots of things to do up here, everywhere you look's like a postcard. Like it's pretty much a dream for anyone with a four-wheel drive just to head north.
Now headed towards Running Creek, located on the east coast, the team strike trouble crossing a sandy riverbed, with Reedy not helping the girls.
Oh my God, I'm pretty sure I predicted that. What do I know? I'm just a lifeguard.
Good on you. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
No, thanks, brother.
After a minor delay and some unhelpful advice from Reedy, they're soon back in action.
That's exactly what four-wheel driving's all about. I mean, you're kind of always teetering on that, whether you might get bogged or you won't, and that's exactly why we've got all the equipment to get ourselves out of those situations.
After the car got bogged in the sand and we got that part out, we got to our campsite, which was right on the river. It looked absolutely beautiful, but I have to say, when I found out that there were some crocs that apparently lived right there, I probably was a little nervous.
When we went through like all the trees and then we came out into this beautiful open space, and that was where we were going to camp for the night, I was just blown away. It was like amazing. We were very lucky to have the Llama people let us stay in their trust area, and it's they come down there and they fish a lot, but they said there's a lot of crocodiles around there, so, you know, it was a little bit of a nervous night's sleep.
We were right on the water's edge with the lake running through it. Just sat by a big campfire and had a really good dinner with Martin and the boys. Out in the stars, you know, random places, no one around, just pure peace and quiet, tranquility.
I am a beauty queen and I also love fishing. We've got some bait on the end, which is a bit of steak left over from dinner, and I'm planning on catching a barramundi, hopefully not a crocodile. We did probably get taught how to fish for the best makeup products and stuff at a big sale, but that's probably about it. And we found some croc tracks, so that didn't help the nerves.
Sensing Courtney is a little on edge, even the TV crew can't resist getting in on the act.
It's just over there. It was huge.
Can you shine your... Oh my God, you're going to set me to an early green.
Managing to survive the night, next morning Courtney is invited for a romantic stroll along the beach.
The setting was kind of there and the romance was there, it just, I think it was only one-sided.
I think Reedy thinks any setting's a romantic setting, to be honest.
I've got that sort of fight till the end attitude, and we were only at day 3, so we had a long way to go. That was proper camping. I mean, the guys from Adventure Australia, they have done a really good setup, so it wasn't like we were completely roughing it, which was nice because you kind of got a bit of a balance. You got to experience being out in the wilderness and camping and living off the land kind of deal, but you still weren't completely roughing it.
The guys from Adventure Australia were just hands-on, you know, ex-army guys that know how to build everything, put it all together. Mate, they couldn't have made it any easier for us, to be quite honest.
The team is delayed from departing Running Creek due to some urgent maintenance work.
I am applying my makeup in the back of the car before a whole day, and this does not mean that I'm your typical beauty queen. I do not live up to the stereotype. So we've just packed up and we're on our way. We're heading up to Weepart. We're making a quick stop off at a creek where we're going to have a bit of a quick swim. I think all of us are pretty much craving some showers, so that might have to do for now.
Reedy is getting nowhere fast with Courtney, and in his romantic wisdom, he thinks terrifying her with a spider might help.
I've just found the biggest huntsman you've ever seen, and it would be sad to not have one little spider incident on the trip, so I'm going to try and catch him. He's massive. Look at the size of that thing.
He decides during a TV interview will be the perfect time to strike.
She's dead set, gonna kill him.
But Courtney smells a rat.
I'm sorry, what are you doing? He's got a flippin' spider, I knew it. Can't out-prank a prankster, Reedy.
Incredibly, in her attempt to get back at Reedy, she somehow manages to put the spider on herself. Much to the delight of a hysterical film crew. After 4 days of fun and adventure, the road trip suddenly turns deadly serious when one of the vehicles has a freak accident on a dusty track.
We'd packed up camp and we were heading north again, and we were on a road heading into a town called Cullen, and one of the cars in front was driving through this dust storm, and bang.
Just making our way along the long dusty track as they are, and mate just had a bit of an incident along the way, which turned out, you know, a bit upsetting, but you know, everyone was safe and not much else you can do about it really, so just had to push on.
Yeah, I'll be honest, when we got there, I was actually scared. The fishing rods were everywhere, and the four-wheel drive in front was like, you could see it was so badly banged up in front, and I was like, no one had got out of the car yet. And when you're in an accident like that, your first reaction is to get out of the car, and when I realised they hadn't gotten out, I was like, we're on here, like this is going to be a serious incident, so.
It's the TV crew who wear the brunt of the impact.
You can see by the impact, it's a pretty solid vehicle. I mean, that could have been a lot worse, so I'm really sore, but I'm just thankful that everybody's okay. Never a dull moment in the top end.
Accidents do happen, and you know, everyone was lucky that no one was seriously injured, and we just had to keep pushing on.
Adventure Australia took great care of it. They were fantastic and got back on the road very, very quickly, and we were ready to go for State of Origin.
They managed to find a hire car, they got us lunch. We were straight up to Weipa in the hire car, and they already had another rental four-wheel drive that we could take all the way to the Cape the very next day.
After an eventful day, the team finally arrived in Weipa, located on the west coast of the Cape, ready for the State of Origin.
We all met up in Weipa, which was really good to get all the crew back together again, and as it is, Origin's on. We're deep in Queensland country, real deep. They didn't like seeing a few crew walk in with Blues jerseys.
So we are at the Weipa Bowls Club, and we're here to watch State of Origin. We're here to watch Queensland win. Woo!
We were sitting in a Queensland pub, and the Blues got beat. And the whole 80 minutes, I was talking it up like they were going to win. Play the first knock on. Oh, get out. Yep.
Weipa is known as a mecca for fishing in the top end. After a disappointing Origin result, the boys are looking for a better result on the water.
I got down there and did definitely have flashbacks of the Great Barrier Reef, and kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to sit this one out. I think no one wanted to see projectile vomit happening that day.
We jumped on Darren's boat from Tackle World, and he took us out on the water, and we were catching fish, we were catching mud crabs, there were seabirds flying everywhere. It was a really, really good day.
Chasing queenies and, you know, feeding eagles soaring through the sky, you know, it was really fun. Mud crabs, bream. Couldn't have asked for a better start to the day.
What we're doing here is using a cast net, and in these shallows is some live mullet, which at this time of year is good bait for barramundi and other estuary fish.
I landed a small one at first. Oh, look at that. My first fish. Hey, buddy. See you, buddy. Oh, no. Get out of it. Corey, how's your fish going? That rod's looking real lonely, mate. And then I just got this whopper and blew Corey out of the ballpark. He had nothing on it.
This thing's huge. Oh, look at that sucker.
I got this beautiful big queen fish, and gave her a kiss and sent her on her way.
There he goes. There he goes. How's your fishing career going?
I'm only getting bigger and better.
Not quite as big as Rick, but I beat him in other areas.
Corey, now desperate to silence Reedy, starts to catch up.
Locked onto a really good sized queenie, which was nice. Haven't been fishing for a long time, so it's really good to have a little bit of a battle on the reel. 2 all. Coming back, baby.
Thanks to some really good tips from Darren from Tackle World, Corey caught up.
And I started fighting back, and I think it pretty much almost ended a draw.
And then I just saw this mud crab out of the corner of my eye, and I said, I'm taking that, and that is going to be the golden point. And I blew Corey away with a mud crab. See you, buddy.
We got to see a couple of crocodiles, a lot of fish in the water. You just have the time of your life. There was fish everywhere.
Just being out in this harbour that's actually got more water in it than Sydney Harbour, like it's huge, and it was It was just amazing to be out there.
While Reedy and Corey settle for a draw, it's the Eagle who takes the honours.
Weipa was a phenomenal place to visit. It's got a massive, massive bauxite mining industry up there, and touring operators and fishing and travellers coming through, and it's a stunning place. It really needs to be seen.
I would have liked Court to come out on the boat, especially seeing as I won the fishing battle and I got the biggest fish.
Reedy came back really cocky, thinking he caught the biggest fish of the day, which I probably didn't, but I didn't expect any less. I knew that no matter what he caught, even if it was nothing, he would have come back making out as if he was the hero of the day. Breakfast this morning pretty much said it all for me. You know, we were sitting there and someone said, "Oh, Reedy, someone recognised you yesterday," and he went, "Oh, yeah, all over the world. I got fans all over the world."
Who's Reedy? I got no idea. Never heard of the bloke.
No, who is he? Who the hell's Reedy?
Obviously, Bondi Rescue, it's a huge program shown worldwide, so of course, you know, we're expecting the red carpet to be rolled out.
Reedy is obviously making a huge impression on the Cape.
I reckon Reedy really is the worst fisherman I've seen up here on the Cape, so I reckon it's about time to go back to the beach.
From Weipa, it's further north along Batavia Downs Road onto Bramwell Station. On the way, the team run into a local road crew who've heard through the Bush Telegraph that Miss World Australia is in the neighbourhood. And it's not long before the meet and greet turns into a fashion parade. Courtney's a welcome sight for the road crew, who do it tough in this isolated part of the world.
Oh my God! Yeah!
Alright guys, when you get to the top of the rise here, we're going to turn right into Bramwell Tourist Park.
We had to head north, we're going all the way to the tip. We had quite a long drive, but we ended up at Bramwell Station. To be honest, it was probably one of the best parts of the trip so far.
Bramwell Station is Australia's northernmost cattle station and only 240 kilometres from the tip of Australia. Now so close to their goal, the team are bursting with excitement.
I absolutely loved Bramwell. As soon as we arrived, I felt like I was at home. It was amazing. We drove in down this long driveway and there were horses on the side.
1,400 square kilometres. That's how big the property is. It is massive.
It's been a dry season and the team lend a hand feeding the cattle. The manager from Bramwell Station is then silly enough to let Courtney drive one of their trucks.
Okay, we're at Bramwell Station and I'm about to drive a truck. Let's do it! So I lift it off slowly. Yep. Ah! I'm not doing a very good job. I'm bunny hopping the truck. I can't believe he was crazy enough to let me have a go, but I think I did okay.
Bramwell Station is famous for its nightlife, and the trio are excited about a big night out.
There was an amazing performer at the pub that night, so we all went down, and I don't think they envisioned that it was a karaoke bar, but that's pretty much what we turned it into.
Our beauty queen Courtney, she was first up there on the mic. She's pretty fearless. She cranked out a tune. She was up on the bar dancing, and me and Corey weren't going to be left behind.
2 beauty queens in the house.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Gonna be a bright sunshiny day.
I don't think any of us will be pursuing a music career anytime soon, to say the very least, but I think we did okay. I at least had the crowd stick around to watch me.
I think Courtney felt like she was back on stage, catwalking up and down the bar. She's very good at it, but so there was no complaints from the men in the crowd.
When Corey and Reedy went up, however, the bar definitely shallowed out, that's for sure. Bondi Rescue boys, Reedy and Corey, you are up! Yeah! Woo! Round of applause!
Still trying to woo Courtney, Reedy puts in an animated performance.
So with my cigarettes to the black market man. But I'll be drifting off to check things out again. Here we go. Well, the black's playing out of Sydney. It's almost gone. Thank God.
Once the boys started having a sing, it was like crickets in there. It was just people started heading off to bed. I tried to impress her with my singing, but yeah, let's just say Barnsey, Reedy. After we'd all had a little sing, the Australian adventure fellas decided to get up and have a little sing, and unfortunately they're probably better off sticking to their four-wheel driving.
Adventure Australia! Come on up!
Reedy serenading Courtney. Wow, he definitely had his dancing boots on that night, and I'm not too sure how things ended up, but he was snoring in the bed when I got home, so what a good night it was. Oh man, just, you know, the music, the food, karaoke, a few beers. It was a really, really good night, and if you're ever heading towards that way, you must stay at Bramwell Station.
Places like tropical North Queensland are special because they're so isolated, and we're so used to cities being overcrowded these days. People just want to get away, and that's what I think really draws people here.
Bramwell Station is just unpack your bags, kick back, relax, entertain yourself around the bar, or if you want to help out, you can help out, you know, and it's just an amazing place to visit. The staff are cool, chilled, and you can make as much noise as you want and no one can hear you.
Still heading north, we arrived at our first serious lot of four-wheel driving, and it's probably one of the hardest ones on the track.
The boys from Adventure Australia took us down to this one particular park called, I think it's the Gunshot, and they kicked us all out of the car, me especially, probably worried about my motion sickness again. But Reedy and Martin stayed in the car, went down this part that was literally like this. It was insane.
I was just like, there's no way we're going to be able to get a Land Cruiser down there.
Reedy was terrified. As always.
He definitely looks scared on the inside.
Oh, hell, we're not going to flip over.
I was just thinking, we're just going to flip over. Like, we were completely vertical in a $140,000 Toyota Land Cruiser.
Reedy came out making out as if he was all brave, and you know, he was telling us all that he'd been giving Martin tips, but unfortunately forgot he had the GoPro on him, so we've all seen that footage now. Definitely not the case. Minds. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't have stayed in that car even if I could. It was crazy.
Oh man, that was fun. That's what we came up here for. And the car was almost vert going down and going back up the other end. How they get those things through there is cool to watch.
A little bit like getting bogged on Bondi Beach, but probably not as bad.
Martin's incredible. Like, for him, not only did he go down the first one like this, he then went up a second one and then came back down. Next thing we know, he's coming up it again. Didn't even let us know. He's crazy.
He's been doing a lot of four-wheel driving in his time, and you can see it. Just the way he just put that thing down that track, and yeah.
Woohoo! We are out of here.
Mate, Marty's got these brand new trucks, and he's willing to just throw it straight down the deep end. It's like, there's no way I would do that, mate. No way. I can't believe that, mate. Woohoo! Wow. He's so calculated with what he does, and he's an amazing driver, amazing guide, fun to hang out with, and mate, once he's in that car, locked up to a tree or bombing down a hill, he's professional as it gets.
After an extreme four-wheel drive adventure, next stop is a visit to picturesque Fruitbat Falls, located on the Jardine River.
Fruitbat Falls was the next stop, and wow, what a sight. It wasn't even a sunny day and it was stunning. There was, I'd been looking at pictures of it prior to our trip and didn't cease to amaze.
Fruitbat Falls was absolutely amazing. It was just this beautiful, massive waterfall, and the water was crystal clear. It was like 28 degrees, perfect.
There's these waterfalls that come down, and oh, it was amazing. We all just jumped straight in. We were under the waterfalls. I hit my head on a rock, so I've got something to take away from it. And we had a great time.
Being lifeguards, we love the water. Having Miss World there jumping in a bikini, we also love that too.
Courtney was having fun in the swimsuit up on top of the falls. She was in an element there, definitely. I guess when you've been competing and doing pageantry for so long, it's just run of the mill, you know.
The stage was set, the cameras were rolling, and she looks pretty good in front of a camera.
Good water, really, really clear, and you know, good bunch of people to share it with, and just, I didn't want to get out, to be honest.
This is what I imagine tropical Queensland to be like, and Fruitbat Falls just delivered completely, diving in and out of the waterfalls, and just, I felt like I was a kid again.
Fruitbat Falls was outstanding. You've got to go. It's really worth visiting.
Despite a series of mishaps along the way, the beauty queen continues to soldier on, never losing her sense of adventure.
Between my motion sickness, my egg on my head, my lovely sexy legs that I've got happening covered in mosquito bites, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Compared to a beauty pageant, Courtney feels the great outdoors are a breeze.
Pageants take the cake any day. 124 beauty queens, like I've said, if you can get through that, you can get through anything.
As they cross the Jardine River by cable ferry, the trio close in on their goal to reach the tip, now just 75 kilometres away.
We're back on the road again, we're heading north, and we're pretty close to the top. We're not quite there, but we're close. And we arrived in a place called Punson Bay, and I can't believe I've never heard of it. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
I didn't feel like I was in the north, you know. It was really, obviously it's the tropics, but felt like you're in Hawaii or Fiji or something.
Once we got in the bar, having a few drinks, meeting the locals, met a guy named Frank. Frank just looked like a pretty unassuming kind of guy. Frank said, mate, I've got a helicopter. You want to come for a spin? I was like, sure.
I got told that we were heading down to the beach and getting straight on a helicopter, which was nuts because I've never been on one before. The helicopter actually landed on the beach. So we went into the helicopter, he took us straight up, and it was amazing. It was incredible. When we were in the helicopter, the first time we actually saw the northernmost point of Australia was from that helicopter.
What Frank did for us was amazing, getting to get up there and see all around the area, but it was just a tease of what we still had to come.
It's their final night together, and so close to the tip. Reedy realises he's running out of time with Courtney and decides it's now or never.
We hit the bar that night after a really, really good dinner. Things got a little bit funny. You know, Reedy decided to get his dancer boots on again. It was so close to the tip, it was a bit of a celebration.
Punson Bay, you know, the setting was there, it was so beautiful. The music started playing and we all started having a bit of a boogie, and don't think I impressed Courtney on the dance floor.
Weren't you the one who tried to break me with your body? Got crumbled. You got laid down.
Unfortunately, I think I'm striking out with Miss World. I'm starting to see a little bit of defeat.
It's now the final day of the trek north to the Cape, and they've decided to travel the last 20 kilometres by boat. And with the end now in sight, it's an emotional journey for everyone.
We got a boat ride straight out of Punson Bay to go up to the tip, and it was really, really nice to reflect back on the trip that we've had. And you know, we're almost there, we're almost at the tip, standing on the furthest, most northern point of Australia, and it's kind of, you know, is this really the end?
When you come here, that's your goal. You want to get to the northernmost point of Australia. I think we'd all been kind of hanging out for that, and even though there's been so much along the way, you kind of keep that in your mind.
This was the pinnacle moment. This is what we trekked all the way for. It was almost like coming to the end of the world. We got off the boat, we moseyed on up there, and it almost felt a little bit spiritual, you know, like it was really good feeling. You could almost feel like everyone else's energy that had already done that walk.
Finally, it's the end of their epic Cape York adventure as they reach the very top of Australia.
Walking over the last little hill, little rocky hill, all the way down, you can just see the sign for the tip of Australia, and you know, it's like 50 metres away, and we're finally coming to the end of our journey and mission accomplished.
We got all the way to the sign, the most northern tip of Australia, and it was, yeah, it was really cool.
We did the walk, we stood at the sign, and we did it. We got there, and it was great. You're like, yes, I did it. It was a really special moment for all three of us to share. We have gotten pretty close during the last week. I've had so much fun with them. They've been awesome to me. So to be able to share that moment with them and everyone that we've gone through this with was really special.
This is exactly why people trekked all the way from Cairns up to Cape York, because of that moment in time where you get to the end. It's a really special place, and I think that you sort of leave there with a little bit of a fuzzy feeling in your stomach, like you've sort of achieved something special.
Swept up by the occasion and true to form, Reedy takes one final shot at Courtney.
Reedy even actually went to the extreme of proposing to me at the northernmost point. So he definitely didn't, you know, his persistence stayed strong.
She slapped him straight in the face. It was pretty good.
10 points, Reedy. 10 points for persistence.
Despite a little bit of rejection from one of the most beautiful women in the world, I'm okay. I'm happy, you know. She's a beautiful woman and I wish her all the best.
For Corey, Reedy and Courtney, it's been an incredible journey and an adventure they'll never forget.
This week has been the most amazing week I've ever had. Like, you just can't fault it. From the bungee jumping, Great Barrier Reef, to Bramwell Station, which I thought was amazing, to Punson Bay, to getting to the tip, together as a team, amazing.
At the start of the trip, I think I said I had no idea what to expect, and I think that pretty much rang true for almost every single day. I mean, like I said, I'm a Queensland girl and I love this stuff, but at the other side, I'm a beauty queen. So there was definitely moments where I'm going, oh my God, what have I got myself into? But overall, it's been amazing, and sharing it with Reedy and Corey, who I was a little bit nervous with, I'm not gonna lie, when I first met them, but sharing it with them has just been awesome. They've made it so much more fun. They've really pushed me to go that extra extreme. It sounds so cheesy and so cliche, but it is one of the best weeks of my life. I've loved it, every second.
The reason people would want to come forward driving up here would be because you've got some of the most amazing tracks, everything's a picture perfect moment, and you wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Every time we turn a corner, there's something else to look at, and it's totally different. It's beautiful bushland, it's outback, it's everything you want to see, and at the same time, it's the adventure. There's something adrenaline pumping at every turn, all relaxing. Like going to Fruitbat Falls was a nice little cruisy trip for us, but there's always something to do, there's always something to look at, and I can't wait to come back.
Now that I've done the trip, I can really understand why people want to do it and should do it, because it's well worth it. There's so many things around the corner that you will not ever dream of, and it's going to be something you will totally remember forever.